The following is a non-profit video. Hyperdimension Neptunia is owned by CompileHeart, Idea Factory International, Sony, and Funimation Entertainment. Please support the official release.
Haha! Feel my wrath, zombies!
Hey, Melon. What you doing?
Playing Neptunia.
Can I play?
Okay!
Yay!
Yes! I'll do my best, okay?
Dang it, so many of them. Come on, come on. What? Melon, this game is cheap!
Oh, no, it isn't. You just don't understand the finesse of Hyperdimension Neptunia and its games.
Well, if you love it so much, why don't you make a video about it? Oh, no.
That's a great idea!
I was kidding!
Roll the intro!
I fucking love the Hyperdimension Neptunia series. With 4 main series games, a remake of each, several spin-offs, and a 13-episode anime, it's no surprise that this series has made its rounds. And yet, I feel like not a lot of people know about it. So, to celebrate my favorite underrated game series, I'm gonna look at all the Neptunia games I've played, ranking them from worst to best. Now for the rules. If I haven't played it, it won't be on the list. So sadly, the original 3 games, V2R and Cyberdimension, will not be on this list. Also, please remember that this is my opinion. If you disagree with my rating, that's fine, and I will not tell you that you're wrong. And with that out of the way, let's go explore game industry. This game is boring. Oh, sorry, I should probably go into detail. After the release of the 3rd game, Neptunia Victory, CompileHeart and Idea Factory decided to make some spin-offs to please fans until the next main series game. Sadly, this was not a good start. This game follows the 4 CPUs of game industry as they try to get their shares back by becoming idols. Okay, this isn't a bad idea. But how did they fuck this up? By making it partially a dating sim and removing the elements of a good idol game. You'll spend most of this game having your CPU of choice sing and dance to their vocal track from the soundtrack of Victory. You would normally expect for this to be a rhythm game or something to the like, as seen in the Hatsune Miku games, Persona 4 Dancing All Night, or even Love Live School Idol Festival, and you have your shares regained based on how well you did. But sadly, this is not the case. Instead, you don't have to contribute anything to the concert except for setting off stage effects. Currently, this is the only spin-off I have yet to finish. Thank God it didn't get a Steam port. Oh boy, I am not gonna make any new friends with my next pick. Guys, I'm gonna say this up front. I am not a noir fan.
Oh, check it out!
Shut up! Look, I don't think Noire is a bad character, and I don't think she's a good one either. Certainly not good enough to have a full game focused on her. But back to the game. This one is a tactical RPG, like Fire Emblem. But sadly, it once again falls into being another partial dating sim where Noire needs player-kun to help her. The models are all reduced to chibis outside of the interactions in the same visual novel style the series is known for. But Noire is turned into a dumb little girl who seemed to forget who R4R is or what she looks like. And I'm pretty sure that Aaron Fitzgerald was insulted by Noire's portrayal in this game. Anyway, as I said, this game takes a very similar gameplay style to tactical RPGs like Fire Emblem. While this is a good idea for a game, having the area be fully 3D can make it hard to tell if you're near a target or not. Also, there are enemies who can pull tricks that will pretty much ruin your mission. If you're a Noire fan, I guess you can pick this up, but if not, then skip it. There are definitely much better titles in the series.
And I'll always rise above, because I want us to run you up. 君の熱にさせるウルトラな手にあるフレッシースパイシー叶える夢たち女神なんだな
This was the first Neptunia game I ever played. It made me fall in love with the series. But I will try to look at it from an unbiased opinion, because this is not a perfect game by any means. In fact, most don't even consider it canon. Anyway, being a remake of the first game, which had mixed reviews on its own, this title had a lot to live up to after the popularity of the third main game. The game opens with the 4 CPUs fighting in the console wars. And Neptune, the representative of Sega, is knocked out of the fight. A clear parallel to Sega getting knocked out of the console race after the Dreamcast. Oh, and don't worry, I'll get to that later. Neptune develops amnesia and spends the rest of the game working with the personification of the game's developers, Compa, representing Compile Heart, and IF, representing Idea Factory, to regain her memory and save industry from a possibly bigger threat than the console wars. Okay, I'm gonna get this out of the way. This game has some amazing referential humor. But sadly, the game does fall on the amnesiac protagonist trope, and Neptune can be seen as annoying. But how's the gameplay? Unlike most turn-based RPGs, you can actually choose how you attack. You have 3 different kinds. You have standard attacks, which do normal damage, heavy attacks, which do large amount of damage, and finally, technical attacks, which do minimal damage, but also deliver more hits, building up an EXE meter. Once you fill one, you can unleash a super powerful and very flashy attack. All in all, if you want a good place to start, this is worth checking out just to see how the series began. But again, there are better titles.
And I'll always rise above, because I want us to run you up.
Okay, now we're getting into the good games. Being a remake of Neptunia Victory, I think it's safe to say that this game was highly anticipated by veterans of the series, and it begins pretty much the same way. Neptune is flung into another dimension that takes place in the 80s, where she meets Plutia, the representative of the Sega Genesis, and has to help fight the 7 Sages, who possibly represent the ESRB, which I believe was made around that time. And I'm just gonna say this, Plutia is my favorite secondary character. She's just so much fun, and the voice talent of Cherami Lay makes the character even better. But anyway, this game pretty much the same as Rebirth 1, except each character has their EXE gauge and their SP gauge combined, making it trickier to unleash EXE attacks. Also, to me, this game has the greatest historical game reference ever put into a video game, but I won't dare spoil it. If you want a fun time, by all means, pick up this game. You won't regret it.
And I'll always rise above, because I want us to run you up.
Now this was a spin-off I was excited for, a game about Blonde that puts her in her comfort zone. This game focuses mainly on Blanc, while all the CPUs go to school and learn about humans, but due to a decline in birth rate, the school is facing closure? Okay, I've heard of worse reasons. So Blanc agrees to work with Neptune and her film club to make a movie so they can earn money to save the school. The gameplay is very similar to Dynasty Warriors and the previous spin-off Neptunia U Action Unleashed. But this game has a grand total of 28 characters, including the HDD or Awakened forms as separate characters. This is also the first Neptunia game to feature multiplayer, where you can fight zombie versions of classic Neptunia monsters with your friends. It contains all 11 of the introduced CPUs, along with 2 returning characters from Action Unleashed, and a brand new developer character. As much as this game would be my favorite, there is one that I love even more. This game. Oh my god, this game. This game is perfect. It follows the little sisters of the 4 CPUs, except Vert, since she doesn't have a little sister, as they fight to save the older CPUs from an evil cult. This sounds like a simple premise, but this entire game is loaded with charm and personality. Each of the sisters gets development, and you feel like you're growing with them, as well as having the most endings in a Neptunia game to date. I'm not kidding. Most Neptunia games have about 2 or 3 endings. Rebirth 2 has 6 endings. Yes, I said 6. The gameplay is similar to Rebirth 1, but each character is given far more personality, just from how they stand, walk, and attack. If you want to start this series, this is a game I will always recommend to new players. Well, that's all I have to say. This is Melon's Heart, and always remember that Vert is best CPU. Lanebox forever, bitches!